Okay, hey guys. Yeah, finally back. It's time for a follow-up on my initial devlog video for Blitloop. A few months back, I decided to completely rip everything apart and rebuild most of the things from the ground up. And now I'm pretty much back at where I was when I made the first devlog video. So not that fun, but it had to be done. And of course, it comes with the difference that the game now has a much better architecture. And as this is the project where I switch from making games in Swift and SpriteKit to instead use Unity, I'm sort of fine with backstepping like this and rebuild stuff, as it also builds the foundation for my next game project too. In this video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of all the major changes I made to improve the game on all fronts since the last devlog video. First of all, the entry point of the entire game is now handled in the Bootstrap class. Unity doesn't really have the concept of an entry point, so I hadn't really done anything like that up until now. But now I have complete control over the entry and the execution order of important objects, as well as how scenes are constructed and destroyed. So I've got rid of all unexpected null exceptions caused by uncontrolled order of loading and unloading of scenes. This code change affected so much, so it was a lot of work to write, but I feel so much more comfortable with this new architecture and more confident that this core functionality won't cause any problems when releasing the game. It's scalable, and it's the architecture I will keep using in my next game too. I rebuilt my save and loading system, so instead of using a central place where the load and savable data is stored, which either caused dependency chains which I had to keep in mind, or I would have to duplicate data instead of having a single source of truth. Now it's decoupled, and any object in the game can implement an interface to hook into the save system to load, save, and manage its own data. That's just so much nicer. I got rid of all Singletons, and I've also removed the service locator that I had built. I don't really mind Singletons. They have their time and they have their place, but I had used them in places which made unit testing quite hard for certain objects. And for this game, I didn't really need them. It was just a lazy shortcut, and if I improved the architecture, which I have now done, I could just get rid of them completely. So now I instead have a simple shared static object for global data, where data can be mocked with an interface for testing purposes. So it's dead simple and it works like a charm. As this game has a looping world, which is not that common in games today, I had to solve a few problems to be able to do that. One problem is to have enemies and items that are out of view to follow along when the world loops. I solved that by parenting them to the part of the world that loops, and that comes with a performance hit. As the position change of the world, it trickles down to the change world position of every child currently spawned into the world. I refactored my pooling system to be able to handle this automatically, where everything remains in place, parented to a pool object during the entire life cycle of the object, and it never moves anywhere else in the scene graph. That keeps the hierarchy neat and gives a positive performance boost. Relating to the world, I also had a serious problem with the world and the camera that affected gameplay on devices like the iPad that has closer to 4:3 aspect ratio, which made in this case the iPad players to see less of the world than a 16:9 player would see. So an unfair line of sight. And on the other side of the spectrum, an ultra-widescreen player would see more of the world. With my old setup, how I had constructed the world, it was not easy to fix that. I started to do that before the big refactoring, but whatever I tried, I run into a new problem or another new problem. Now I have rebuilt the camera handling and the screen and the world setup, so every player sees pretty much the same, no matter what screen aspect ratio you're playing on, while I still was able to avoid letterboxing the game, except in some really extreme cases where I have no choice but to letterbox the world. But most players will never see a letterbox while still having pretty much the same line of sight, no matter what aspect ratio they're playing on. Then another thing that I've been doing is that I have been rebuilding my UI. Before I was using UI Canvas, and now I'm using UI Toolkit. And I've implemented runtime bindings for the UI. Now everything from my mobile touch controller to the HUD is 100% UI Toolkit, using the runtime bindings. Especially runtime bindings helped with my architecture and how to keep the HUD up to date with visualizing data from multiple different objects. To be happy with UI Toolkit, I have built a number of custom elements for different things. Maybe the most important one is my non-allocating string element, which allows me to update strings without causing new memory allocation that put pressure on the garbage collector. This is to achieve maximum performance on weaker devices. And with my switch to UI Toolkit, I got the number of draw calls and batches down from 17 in UI Canvas to only 1 with UI Toolkit. If you combine that with no runtime memory allocations, I'm in a very happy place with the UI, and I don't think I can optimize it more. Next, I have rebuilt my spawning and level system, so it's way better organized code-wise, and I can easily add more mechanics to it now. Before, it just spawned stuff in intervals, and that was it, and it was also convoluted how it was structured. But now I can spawn stuff based on multiple different conditions, or add completely new rules to make a specific level unique or different, making the game loop less repetitive. Then, moving on to my custom tooling. I rebuilt my build tool to easier handle multiple unique build types, so I can manage builds for Steam, for App Store, for Play Store, and so on, from the same code base and from the same Git branch. And with the new build strip tool that I built, I can easily isolate functionality in the game for a certain hardware platform or a certain store. I built an automatic benchmarking system that autoplays the game, profiles the game, and stores the profiling data in a database, so I can, with less effort on my part, still keep track on how the game performs on different platforms and visualize that data. I built many new debug tools, so I can easily see what's going on in the game with spawning queues, enemy stats, scores, save data, and so on. And I also built a tool where I can easier balance the data for every entity in the game in a spreadsheet-like manner, which I can also export to a CSV file, so I can get some help to check the balancing with diagrams in a spreadsheet application. Oh, and I also rebuilt my entire DevOps setup. Instead of using GitHub and Jenkins, I now host all my dev services myself. And I use Git as my Git server, TeamCity for automatic nightly builds and QA runs, and UTrack to organize the project. I couldn't be happier with this switch and not have to rely on remote services anymore. I'm sort of trying to get out of cloud services as much as I can, where it makes sense. Especially personal things like my photos or my music collection. I don't like the idea of subscribing to my own life. But that's a topic for a completely different video. So let's move on here. Oh, and I just recently started to do a weekly stream where I do some live development of the game. So if you have the time, please join me when I stream the next time. I'm trying to do the stream on Wednesdays. I'm still figuring out what time of the day I should do it, as I'm in a bit of a quirky time zone. So well, while the game visually hasn't changed much since the last devlog, I still have put in quite a bit of work into the project, and I have got rid of so much technical depth, and it's just in such a better place now. And now I can get back to implementing features again, and I'll keep working towards getting a version of the game available. I hope I will soon have some more visually exciting stuff to show, and not only code stuff. Anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or want to discuss something related to this video, feel free to join my Discord server, and I'm happy to talk about anything game dev related. So, see you in the next one, and may the source be with you. Cheers!